Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Still joining you on this morning's edition of The Breakfast Show. And as promised earlier, today we discuss a very interesting topic, taking a break a bit from politics. And that is, we talk a bit about the ability to attract other people as well as how to be an attractive person. We're delighted to be joined this morning in the studio by our guest who will be telling us a lot more about how to be attractive, Dr. Samah Khamis, human development expert and life coach. A very good morning to you, Doctor.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Samah. Dr. Samah, as Angie has just mentioned, how to be attractive, how to be an attractive person, and is this an acquired thing to get, or it's easy to be an attractive person?
It is actually both. It is innate, something that is there in the personality of the person, and it is also an acquired property. So, for example, a person can feel that he has enough self-confidence to attract other people. If this person has charisma, if he has this feeling of self-worth, then definitely yes, he will be looked upon as an attractive person, and he will also be attracting the right people at the right time with the right situations in his life.
Doctor, are there such things as rules of attraction?
Yes, definitely yes. There are rules for the universe actually, and the law of attraction, by the way, is only one of the 30-something rules, but the most popular are 12. There are 12 laws of the universe. One of them is the law of attraction, and it is something that we have to believe in because it exists. It is there. God has created universe in a way that it deals with a person from inside out, which is actually a bit contradictory to what we believe. We used to think that whatever happens in our lives, we deal with it or we react to it. And then, much to our surprise, we found out that no, you actually attract what you have within you. So if you have positivity inside you, you'll be attracting positive situations in your life.
Dr. Samah, how do you see the difference between a charismatic person and an attractive person? And can a person be both attractive and charismatic, and a person be just attractive without being a charismatic person?
Yes, yes, definitely. So a charismatic person has to be attractive, but not all attractive people are charismatic. So a charismatic person, meaning that you can feel the vibe once that person steps into the room. You feel that you're attracted to look at him, and you tend to be taken into his the aura of his energy. So you feel so compelled to look at him, to see how he moves, how he talks, and that actually has an impact on you as well. So that is a charismatic person. And usually politicians are a bit charismatic, and if they are not, they are actually trained to be. So
can we be trained to be charismatic, or we can be trained only to be attractive?
For you to actually train someone to be charismatic is a bit difficult. It is easier, of course, to make a person attractive by the choice of words or the way he's dressed or the way he talks. Then yes, he can actually increase the level of attraction in him. But for a charismatic person, it is basically an innate thing. It is this aura, this energy about the person. However, in the States, actually, they worked on several presidents to increase the level of charisma. And they did succeed in that, up to a certain proportion, yes.
So how can you work on yourself to be more attractive? What can you do?
First thing is to believe that you do have these qualities in you. You have to consider yourself as a person who has self-confidence, who has something to add to the world, that yes, you can, the way you talk to yourself, which is a very important point, your self-talk plays a major role in this. So what is it that you keep telling yourself? Because this self-talk actually is what attracts certain situations and people and certain incidents in your life. So if you tend to be a bit negative and you're too critical of yourself, then definitely, yes, you'll be attracting negative situations. And vice versa. If you are a person who is positive, who has this, this sense of confidence and self-worth, then you will find yourself talking in a positive way to you, and that will also attract positive situations in your life.
Dr. Samah, if someone comes to you and complains that he has low self-esteem, he is facing problems in his work and in his daily life because of this low self-esteem, what are the tips that you could give him in order to be a more attractive, a more self-confident person?
First thing is, I wouldn't actually accept the fact that he has a low self-esteem. When he comes to me complaining from a low self-esteem, I will ask him, all right, let us just check if that is a right belief. Because we tend in NLP, in the neuro-linguistic programming, we tend to get the client to question his beliefs because there are certain limiting beliefs. So when you come to me and you tell me, I have this, low self-esteem. So you believe this, and that is why you're acting accordingly to your belief. So what I have to do first is to shake this belief, to make you doubt it, and make you examine the belief, whether it's correct or not. So the first thing I would do is, do you really think so? Do you think that everybody sees you think the same way? And then he might reconsider the belief. And then I will start eliciting all the things that he has done or she has done in her life that defies this idea of lack of self-worth and self-esteem. And then she will start like listing all the things that she has succeeded in, all the things that she felt proud of herself doing. And there we start from here, telling her, okay, so you see, you're just focusing on the wrong side. There are lots of things that you need to be proud of, and you have actually accomplished. So that is one way of defying the limiting belief. And then we work on more self-confidence, like the way the person dresses, the way he talks, the way he even walks makes a difference, definitely.
So attraction is related a lot to your self-esteem and your self-confidence. Is that true?
That is very true, yes. And because, attractive person meaning a person who people like to talk to, people like this person's company. So why would they care if you are not really feeling the same way about yourself? So it all starts from the inside to the outside, which is exactly the principle of the law of attraction. Whatever is in is out. If you have anything positive, you will be attracting the positive. If you have something really negative, you'll be attracting the negative. So whatever happens around you should make you consider, is that really what I have inside or not? Which is very much, since we're in Ramadan, it is very much related to what we have, for example, in one of the hadith, here the Prophet says that pray to God with conviction that you will get the positive. So again, you need to rely on this. You have to think positively about the situation in order for you to get them.
Dr. Samah, to what extent the outside appearance of the person, you have just mentioned if someone comes to you with low self-esteem, you tell her how to dress, how to look. To what extent the outside appearance of the person could increase his self-confidence and attraction?
The appearance plays a very important role, and we cannot deny that, because that is what the people see, the first thing. That is the first, impulse that they get about you. So yes, people would just, like scan the person first time, and then they would say, okay, so she belongs to this level of society, that she comes from that type of culture, and so on and so forth. So appearance is important. However, if I keep, like focusing on the outer appearance without really working on the inside of the person, then no matter what you do, this, limiting belief inside the person will always make her intimidated. She will not be feeling comfortable because she knows that from the inside she is not really standing on solid ground. So the first thing we need to do is to work on the self-esteem and the way the person sees himself, the way she talks to herself. That is very important.
But can't we say that sometimes the outside appearance could deceive?
Definitely, yes. Again, if there is deception, meaning what? That the outside is contrasting to the inside. So if I see a person who is very well dressed and she looks like, wow, a person who is so attractive, and then once you sit with that person, you find there's this bombshell of negativity coming out of her, and she's so critical of everyone, and she's so passive about the way she looks about life, then definitely that will make me see her less attractive, if attractive at all in the first place. So yes, appearance can be deceptive if it does not really coincide, if it does not really go in parallel with the inside. That is why I'm saying both are important.
So since you can be taught to be attractive, what can we do in order to teach, for example, our children children from a young age to have that kind of attractiveness, that charisma, how to deal with people and make good friendships from a young age?
Oh, that's a very important question, because it actually starts from childhood. So the self-esteem and the self-image starts at the very beginning from the early age. So the way the parents handle the kid, the way they talk to him is very important. So respect is the first thing. That person needs to feel that he's respected. He has an identity. He has, you know, a personality, a separate one, and he is to be respected and to be dealt with in a proper way. Sometimes in our culture we don't do that. We just tend to take children lightly with a lot of disrespect and, you know, reprimands and so on and so forth. And the way we punish them, we can talk ages and books in this. So once the child feels the self-worth, that when one of the very important things is to, we have to differentiate between the person and the actions. Meaning a child can actually, let's say, for example, steal, but we should not label him as a thief. So that is something very important, because for a person to eventually become attractive, he has to feel good about himself. So the first thing I should do is to make him have this self-worth. So what if he does something wrong, which is of course very possible in childhood? Then I should not be labeling him as a thief, as a liar, as whatever. But I would tell him that you lied. But I wouldn't say you are a liar. There's a difference. I would actually criticize the action, but I would not criticize the person. So that is one of the very important things that we actually teach the parents, and we keep, you know, focusing on that. Guys, please, whenever you want to correct the child, correct the behavior, not the person. You do not label him. Another thing is give him space. Give him the time and the space to actually express himself, his points of views. And even if it's contradictory to ours, we need to lend him an ear. We need to listen to that person. So when he feels that he has this self-worth, that will increase his attraction to others. Another thing could be the responsibility, sense of responsibility. He has to feel that he is responsible of something. Again, the idea of him being a child, meaning that I should be doing every single thing for him. And then when he grows up, it's like, why isn't he man enough? Why isn't he a responsible person? Because he was not trained. He did not learn to be an independent person, a responsible person from the childhood.
So if we can say that some parents are hitting their kids, for example, could this lower their self-esteem and also lower their attraction, how to be an attractive person, and this attitude of beating the kids should be stopped immediately for our, as a tip for the parents?
Yes, I mean, again, any physical reprimand for the child has to be dealt with very great caution. It has to be very limited. It has to be for particular cases, if ever. And if we have to resort to this, then it has to be done with care, meaning that I should not be doing it in humiliation. But when, for example, a child who is a 2-year-old child who is just managed to walk in first steps, and then he puts his finger very close to the electric plug. I won't be leaving him like that. I'll have to tell him that this is really dangerous, and yes, he might be beaten, but slightly. The parent has to be in control.
Without hurting the kid
exactly. Yes, the parent has to be in control of his action. He has to know what he is doing and why he's doing it. But for me to lose control over myself and to give way to anger...
But we have to say that it happens. A lot of times I'm seeing parents shouting at their kids and beating them. So how this could lower their self-esteem as well?
It makes him lack the self-worth. There is no self-worth anymore, because I would feel that I'm being humiliated and I don't even know why.
If it's in front of other people.
Exactly, that would even add to the situation. So again, if I'm being hit, that means that I am being abused. The child does not understand that this is a way of, the parent thinks that this is the right way of handling the situation. The child has no such notion. He just labels this as being intimidated, as being reciprocated, as being dealt with as a thing, not as a person. So that would definitely has an impact on the person's self-value and self-worth. So, and that would of course get us to a long process of redemption. We have to go through a very long process with the child to get him to rebuild his self-esteem and self-worth, and get him to overcome the damages, the psychological damages that such attitude has
But doctor, an interesting thing you find find, for example, you see siblings, a brother and a sister, or a brother, sister, sister, and the one is very attractive and has that self-esteem, charismatic. The other one could be rather quiet, not very sociable, but they've been brought up similarly by the same parents. Why does this happen? Does this mean that your own personality plays a role to a certain degree, or is it something in the upbringing?
That's also a very good question, and a bit complicated one, because it has different aspects to it. So one of the things is, yes, whether he's a girl or a boy plays a role. In which society is he brought up plays another role. The kind of parents he has been raised with, and then the society, the culture. Another thing is his position in the family. Is he the first child, or the second, or the third? Because the first one, he tends to be a very I'm not saying that this is the general rule, but usually the first one plays the role of the father. He looks at the father as the role model, exactly, and he copies him in whatever he's doing. The second, you know what happens with the second? The second has a very difficult time managing his way through the family. So that person would examine the first child and most probably be doing the opposite. So if the first one is really a brilliant one who's really responsible and he gets very good grades, the second will actually tend to do the opposite, not for any reason except to attract the attention of the parents. The third, amazingly, will mostly play the clown role. He'll be the one to make life easier for everyone. He would like to find his way in the middle by being the nice person to talk to, the humorous. That is usually the case. I'm not saying that this is, of course, there are no rules when it comes to people, but usually this is what we have noticed in the family. So that could play a role in why is it that siblings could change, even though they were brought up in the same environment. So all these factors do play roles, yes.
Dr. Samah, how can we raise our kids to be charismatic, not only attractive person? Is it doable, or it's just by nature?
Charisma is something innate, basically. I mean, it's something that the person is usually born with. However, yes, we can entice it, we can increase it, we can build it in the person up to a certain degree. So, for example, I remember in our old days when, for example, we used to recite poetry in schools. Poetry recitation would actually give you this self-confidence, and you know, you being exposed to such, you know, numerous students in front of you, and the way you are speaking and the way you recite the poem and so on and so forth, that also plays a very important role in your charisma, building your charisma. Giving speeches could actually play a role in that as well. And then we train the person how the body language is very important, the eye contact, the intonation, even your voice. If it's monotonous, you'll never be charismatic if you're monotonous. You have to have this ability to change the intonation of your voice, the way you pace the stage, the way you walk, and so on and so forth. But it needs some kind of training sometimes, that's very true. Yes.
So it's not just restricted to the family, but also, for example, to the education system.
Yes, very true.
It's also found in the classroom.
Yes, yes, definitely, yes. That's very true.
Since we are in the holy month of Ramadan, do you see a link between being an attractive person and being a faithful and religious person?
Yes, of course, yes. But however, we need to define things here, because, you know, my idea of being a religious person is not only to practice whatever practices we need to do, but also to really believe in your heart of hearts, like deep down inside you have this belief, which is another principle in the law of attraction, that people need to believe there's this rule saying, perception is projection. So whatever you perceive, you project. Whatever you believe, you will get. So if that person really has this faith, meaning the strong faith, not the person who would judge people by their looks or by whatever they're doing, but he wouldn't even judge anyone at all, but he would only look inside himself and try to purify his heart as much as possible. If that is the kind of religion that we're talking about, then definitely yes, that these people are very attractive, because they love others unconditionally. And that is something that people lack. People lack to be loved unconditionally. I would love you no matter what you do, no matter what you look, because you are created by God, and I love you for that, you know. And I could see the energy in you, which is definitely a positive one. So again, that is an important point. So people who are really, who know the meaning of faith, and they are really religious deep down inside them, they tend to be very attractive to others.
But there is a doctor, there is a distinction between spirituality and religion.
Definitely.
I mean, religion is what you practice, basically, in front of people, and spirituality is your own personal relationship. So this difference and this distinction between spirituality and religion, is this what could create this attractiveness in people?
You have tackled a major point, actually. Yes, that's very true. There is a huge difference between religion, or a religious person, and spiritual one. So by religion, there are the set of rules or the doctrines that are set by God in a certain religion. And a person who follows them is labeled as religious. Whereas a spiritual person is a different thing. Spirituality is the essence of life. We live our life as spirits, by the way. We are basically a spirit in a human body. Exactly. So that is the core of life, for you to understand this spirit inside you. That is why, for example, we in the NLP, we tend to do some meditation, for example. That is to increase the connection between you and the divine God, and that helps you a great deal in the process of spirituality. So the more you focus on this, the closer you get to God in the core sense of the word, not only as in practices, but also inside you. You purify yourself, you get to develop yourself, and you achieve more as you do that. So, and from that comes again the law of attraction. You tend to attract more people with the same kind of aura, the same kind of energy, and that is amazing, because I was just the other day, I was with a group of people, and we looked at each other. It was like, oh my God, we could feel the sense of, you know, unity, and that we're all gathered with the same aim in life, which is spirituality, by the way, and the connectiveness that we have with the divine and with the universe in general. And the more we do that, the more purified your heart gets.
But how can we be spiritual? How can we be a purified people? How can we reach this level?
First of all, self-awareness. We have to understand ourselves first for us to understand God. Because if we don't understand ourselves, if we think low of ourselves, definitely there's something wrong then with your relationship with God. You cannot see God as loving, as all-loving and all-accepting if you cannot accept yourself. The first thing we have to do is to accept ourselves, and then from that we start to love God unconditionally, just as He loves us unconditionally. We should not be judging anyone. We should actually be accepting everyone. And we tend to find this core inside us. As I said, meditation helps. Reading a lot in self-awareness and self-help books would actually help. Finding a community that has the same aim and same target in life would help you a great deal. Yoga, for example, plays a very good part in this as well. So whenever you try to connect with nature, with God, with your spirit, that will actually make you a more purified person, and a person who is seeking the core of life, which is spirituality.
And in turn, attractive.
And then in turn, attractive.
Right. Dr. Samah Khamis, Human Development Expert. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you so much.
Samah.
Thank you so much,
very
ladies.
much for
Thank
your
you.
input. And now we'll go to watch some live news from around the globe, and we'll be back to resume the segments of The Breakfast Show.